What's good? What's good? It's the one and only, but what do I know? Boxing coming back at y'all with another one, man. So we got Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, Tszyu, Sebastian Fundora, all of the above in the news today, man. As you guys can see, this is Terrence Crawford verified Twitter or X, whatever you want to call that account. And he says, you lost, sir. Gotta work your way back up. So, referring to Errol Spence did say that he actually came to the Tszyu versus Sebastian Fundora fight, and he actually stated that he wants the winner of the fight. So he was there. If you guys don't know, Sebastian Fundora won by split decision. Errol Spence got in the ring. They were talking, hyping themselves up or whatever. It is what it is. But Errol Spence actually came back, when Terrence Crawford said, "Sorry, buddy, you gotta wait in line, sir." Errol Spence says, I don't know, champ. I don't do lines. We going back to Dallas. So basically saying, like, bro, basically he's feeling like, hey, bro, he finna skip the line. He ain't got nothing to, he ain't gotta wait in line. He finna skip the line and get a shot at Sebastian Fundora for the unified 154 titles, that being the WBC and the WBO. All right, now I want to go ahead and give my 2 cents as far as what I feel like, or who I feel like deserves a fight and how that should go, right? Now, first and foremost, obviously, Sebastian Fundora wasn't even supposed to be the one fighting for those titles. Actually, the titles were initially not even online. It was supposed to be Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman was supposed to be fighting Tszyu at a catchweight of 155. And I want to say that had something to do with Keith Thurman being inactive, because he hasn't fought since February of 2022. So him being inactive and in another weight class, it's no way that he could fight for those titles. So it was, because it's a non-sanctioned bout, it's like, why make 154 if I don't have to? So they wanted to do it at a catchweight of 155. All right, but Keith Thurman obviously pulled out. He was injured. So what they did was they took Sebastian Fundora on a 12-week notice, made him the headliner, and he actually came through, and look how God works, bro. Like, Sebastian Fundora is a very good kid. I'm glad that he's able to call himself a unified champion, right? Regardless of how we feel like he, the circumstances or whatnot, because I definitely feel like that cut played a big key in that, bro. I don't even think anybody can debate that. If it wasn't for that cut, I feel like Tszyu probably would have stopped Sebastian Fundora. But it is what it is, and it happens how it happens, right? God makes no mistakes. So Sebastian Fundora is now the unified champion. All right, congratulations to him. Now, here's the crazy part about it, and this is the politics in boxing, right? Everybody knows that the PBC runs 154 and most of 147, right? Now, the thing about it is, this is how politics works, right? Now, Sebastian Fundora is coming off of a loss to Brian Mendoza, which happened last year in 2023, actually around this time last year. So I want to say like a year layoff and a loss, right? And he then gets a title shot, right? Now Sebastian wins, and he has options he can choose from, right? They're talking about possibly making a fight with him and Errol Spence, another fighter who just came off of a loss and could be getting a title shot. I think that this is very crazy, and I like Errol Spence a lot, but I don't think that I've never really been a fan of a fighter losing and getting a title shot unless if it was a robbery. Now, if the fighter got robbed in their last fight and everybody felt like, like on some Manny Pacquiao, Tim Bradley type stuff, then I can understand them getting a title shot. But if a fighter loses, like especially the way Errol Spence lost, I just feel like, bro, Terrence Crawford should be getting a title shot at first dibs. You know what I'm saying? But what's likely to happen, well, it's either Terrence Crawford or the WBO mandated that he negotiates with Terrence Crawford or whatnot. But the problem is, I'm not sure who Terrence Crawford is signed with, because I don't think he signed with the PBC. I think that was just a one-fight deal. And I don't know if the PBC would have to host that, seeing how Sebastian Fundora is with the PBC. I don't know if I don't know if the PBC will be going in that direction to fight, Terrence Crawford, because Terrence Crawford is not, really signed with them, or if they're gonna try to go ahead and make the Errol Spence fight. Now, money-wise, Errol Spence, the Errol Spence fight may be more lucrative, especially if they go to Texas. Seeing how Errol Spence, the man, look, bro, the man fought your Dennis Ugas and put on about 38,000 people in, or what was it, 38 or 48? It was either 38 or 48. Either way it goes, it put on a crazy amount of crowd, numbers as far as crowd-wise goes and whatnot. So it's like lucrative-wise, I can understand why he would choose an Errol Spence. But I feel like Errol Spence, as much as I like Errol Spence, I gotta agree with Terrence Crawford. Like, bro, you just lost. Like, you gotta work your way back up there, right? Errol Spence probably, and then the whole problem with Tim Tszyu is they verbally agreed to a rematch clause. Nothing has been signed. So technically, speaking, you know how they say, as a man, our word and our balls is all we have, right? But technically speaking, if Sebastian Fundora chooses not to, and to my knowledge, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I just read an article stating where Samson Liquid said that like it was verbally agreed that they would do a rematch because they didn't have time to put anything on paper or whatever the situation may be to get this fight going. But technically speaking, if Sebastian Fundora technically he really doesn't have to abide by that. Technically, if I'm just being 100, he really, nothing that they could really do but say, bro, you gave us your word and you backed out. Now you're ducking a rematch, right? So, I don't necessarily know where that goes. Maybe what they could do is Tim Tszyu fight Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford fight Sebastian Fundora. Or what I hear they're trying to do, I hear the PBC is trying to convince Sebastian Fundora to go ahead and drop the WBO, and that way Terrence Crawford could probably fight Tim Tszyu for the WBO title, because that's the title that Tim Tszyu had, and maybe Sebastian Fundora keeps the WBC, and which would then allow him to fight Errol Spence. Errol Spence actually had that belt, the WBC belt, at 147 pounds. That would allow him to fight Errol Spence. Now, listen, those are some crazy fights that, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro, I just did not really see this coming. And, I don't necessarily know how I feel about him, man. Errol Spence, we haven't seen him since his devastating loss to Terrence Crawford. Now, we all have speculations of why that loss took or looked the way it did. Errol Spence not being 100%, Errol Spence, maybe being drained or whatnot, or Terrence Crawford is just the better boxer, the better fighter. You know what I'm saying? It's so many questions that we have. And then with Errol Spence injuries, we also want to know, like, bro, is Errol Spence going to be, even able to come back and compete? You know what I'm saying? Like at that top level without getting injured or anything like that, right? He just had eye surgery for the second time. You know what I'm saying? So, the whole accident, the whole car accident situation, I don't know, man. I just don't know how I feel about that, man. As far as Terrence Crawford goes, man, we got to see what Terrence Crawford, who he signs with, or what he's going to do. It seems as though Terrence Crawford really is not high on the PBC, and rightfully so, because obviously the PBC is going to, they're going to cater to the people that's been with them. Terrence Crawford, if you guys don't know, was signed with Bob Arum, Top Rank, virtually his whole career. So up until, last year, the year before last? No, yeah, up until the year before last, he was signed with, Top Rank. So, I don't necessarily think the PBC cares to do business with him. And if so, that sucks, man, because, it's weird to see, I can see, I just would wonder how Terrence Crawford and or Errol Spence would do against a tall guy like Sebastian Fundora. Truth be told, if I'm being 100% honest, obviously, and like I want you guys to hear me closely, because I know how you go, oh man, you tripping, bro, you don't know nothing about boxing, man. Hear me out. I know Manny Pacquiao is the way better fighter, but I would be very interested to see how he would fight against a Sebastian Fundora. Manny Pacquiao, who has small arms. I don't know what the heck that was in the background. Might have been my dogs. Manny Pacquiao, who has smaller arms and is 5'5", or 5'6", going up against, you know, Sebastian Fundora, who's like 6'6", you know, that's like a foot taller. I would just be very curious to see how Manny Pacquiao would do against him, especially Sebastian Fundora, that fought Tim Tszyu, who actually who somewhat kept a fight at a distance and not, you know, gave up his height and reach or whatnot. I would be interested to see what Pacquiao would do against him, just out of curiosity. You know what I'm saying? But obviously, like I say, I'm not comparing to, because obviously we know Pacquiao's light years better than Sebastian Fundora. But you can't tell me that would not, you know, intrigue you, like short Pacquiao versus tall Fundora. Like, I don't know. I just think that would be interesting or whatnot to see what Pacquiao does in that situation. But anyways, regardless, man, look, I hope Sebastian Fundora, personally, I would hope in the best case scenario that he would pick Terrence Crawford, because I do feel like Terrence Crawford is deserving of the fight. You know, the man, look what he's accomplished. Look what he just beat Errol Spence. But unfortunately in boxing, rarely, and I mean rarely, do we ever get the best case scenario. More than likely what'll end up happening is either Sebastian Fundora will drop one of the belts and fight Errol Spence, or possibly fight Tim Tszyu. In that case, it won't be an unfortunate event, because I do feel like Tim Tszyu deserves the rematch. And I also feel like Tim Tszyu would beat Sebastian Fundora in a rematch, even stopping him. But hey, you know, it is what it is. At least Sebastian Fundora can say I was a unified champion at 154 pounds, even if I just held the title for a day. All right, let me know what you guys think, man. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Who do you want to see Sebastian Fundora fight next? Who do you think deserves the fight? But what do I know?